The hospital room reeked of disinfectant. A harsh bite that burned my nostrils as I lay in the crinkling paper gown. My skull thudded like a drum out of time. My arm, weighted by the 4 lines, felt foreign, like it belonged to someone else. I stared up at the ceiling tiles, counting their tiny dents just to keep myself from screaming. How had I ended up here? Only hours earlier I'd been laughing, clinking glasses, my husband's arm snug around my waist. Now I was alone. My phone was dead. My wedding band caught the fluorescent light, glinting coldly. And James was gone. Not simply absent, vanished, leaving behind questions that burned hotter than the pain in my head. It had begun at the bar, a dim dive called a Rusty Anchor, where the air was thick with cigarette haze and the jukebox wailed old Springsteen. James had insisted we go. His voice carried that boyish charm I'd fallen for a decade ago. "Come on, Lena. Let's shake things up," he'd urged, his hazel eyes catching the glow of our kitchen chandelier. I'd hesitated. Mia was with my mom for the night, and I planned a quiet evening of takeout and Netflix. But James's grin was infectious. I gave in, slipping into a red dress I hadn't worn since before Mia was born. The bar pulsed with bodies pressed tight, the buzz of voices blending with the clink of glass. James guided me to a corner booth, his palm warm against my lower back. That's when I noticed them. 2 strangers at the bar, a man with a sharp jaw and a scuffed leather jacket, and a woman whose dark hair spilled over an emerald blouse shimmering under neon. They weren't locals. In a town this small, I knew every face. These 2 didn't fit. Their laughter rang too loud, their glances too precise. "Lena, you okay?" James's voice pulled me back. He was holding his second whiskey, cheeks already flushed. I nodded, but unease coiled low in my gut. The woman's eyes flicked toward us, lingering on James a moment too long. I brushed it off. Paranoia, I told myself. After 10 years together, I trusted James. Didn't I? The night blurred. More drinks. James's hand resting on my thigh. The strangers weaving closer through the crowd. At some point, they joined us. The man, Ethan, spoke in a voice like gravel, smooth but rough at the edges. The woman, Claire, smiled too wide, her teeth flashing like a predator's. They said they were road-tripping from Boston to Miami. Chasing freedom, Claire purred, her fingers brushing James's wrist as she reached for her drink. My stomach twisted, but James only laughed, easy, unbothered. Why wasn't he unsettled? Hours later, the bar had become a haze of neon and heat. My head swam with too much wine. Ethan suggested a nightcap at their motel, a shabby place off Route 1 with a flickering vacancy sign. "It's got character," he smirked. I wanted to refuse, to pull James home. But he was already nodding, his arms slung around my shoulders like nothing was wrong. "Live a little, Lena," he whispered, his breath hot at my ear. I swallowed my unease, chalking up to alcohol, the late hour, the strangeness of the night. The motel room smelled of mildew and cheap air freshener. The carpet was stained under a single buzzing lamp. Claire poured vodka into plastic cups, her movements graceful but deliberate, like a dancer who rehearsed every step. Ethan sprawled across the bed, boots still on, his eyes stripping me bare. James sat too close to Claire, their knees touching as she handed him a drink. My heart thudded, a warning I ignored. I told myself it was nothing, just a night out. But then Claire leaned in, whispering to James, and his laugh came out too loud, too intimate. My vision blurred, not just from vodka. I rose unsteadily and said I needed air. Ethan followed me outside, looming as I leaned against the peeling motel wall. The ocean-salted breeze did little to clear my head. "You don't look like you're having fun," he said, his voice low, almost taunting. I shrugged, my tongue heavy, my thoughts sluggish. Something was wrong. The world tilted. I stumbled. When I woke, I was in the ER. A nurse adjusted my fore, her face pinched with concern. "You're lucky," she said. "Your blood alcohol was sky high. And there was something else, a sedative." Sedative. My mind clawed through the fog. I hadn't taken anything. Had I? My purse was gone. My phone dead. And James! James wasn't there. I called my mom from the hospital phone, hands trembling. Mia was safe, asleep at her house. But James hadn't come home. I tried his cell straight to voicemail. Panic clawed at my chest, sharp and cold. Was he hurt? No. I wouldn't let myself think it. Not yet. When I was discharged, I took a cab home. The house was dark, the air stale. James's keys weren't on the hook. His jacket was gone. I checked our bedroom, breath catching as I opened his dresser. Empty. His clothes, his watch, the leather wallet I'd given him for our 5th anniversary. All gone. On the kitchen counter lay a note in his handwriting. I'm sorry, Lena. I can't do this anymore. My knees gave out. I slid to the floor, the linoleum cold under my palms. Can't do this. What did that mean? We'd fought, yes, about money, about Mia's tantrums, about the grind of marriage, but nothing catastrophic. Nothing that explained this. I replayed the night, hunting for clues. Claire's hand on his wrist, his too easy laugh. The way he'd brushed off my unease, eyes sliding past mine. Had he known them? Had this been planned? I drove to motel, gripping the wheel until my knuckles blanched. The vacancy sign still flickered, but their room was empty. The bed unmade, a lone plastic cup on a nightstand. The clerk, a bored teenager with acne scars, said they'd checked out at dawn. No forwarding address. No real names. Just cash and a fake ID. Back home, I scoured our life for answers. Bank statements showed withdrawals I'd missed, hundreds, then thousands siphoned off over months. His laptop, left behind, contained emails to an account I didn't recognize, cryptic messages about fresh starts and clean breaks. My chest ached, a hollow pain spreading like ink and water. Had he been planning to leave me for her? For them? I called his brother, his friends, his boss. No one knew anything, or claimed not to. His boss mentioned James had been distracted lately, skipping meetings, leaving early. I wanted to scream, to demand why no one had told me. But I didn't. I sat in our living room, Mia's toys scattered across the rug, and cried until my throat burned raw. Days blurred into weeks. The police found no trace of James, Ethan, or Claire. My mind spun with theories. Had they drugged me? Was it a con? Or had James fallen in love with her, with a life I couldn't give him? Claire's smile haunted my dreams, her eyes mocking. James's laugh echoed in my head, now laced with betrayal. I told Mia he was on a trip, but her questions cut deeper each day. When's Daddy coming home? The twist came on a rainy Tuesday, a month later. A package arrived, no return address. Inside, a USB drive and a note, "You deserve to know." My hands trembled as I plugged it in. A grainy video appeared. James in a motel room, not unlike the one with Claire. Their laughter, their touches, the way he looked at her like he'd never looked at me. The timestamp, 6 months ago. 6 months. He'd been lying for at least half a year. The video ended, but the note's words seared me. You deserve to know. Know what? That my husband was a stranger? That I'd been blind, trusting, foolish? I wanted to hate him, but love clung stubbornly, raw and aching. I wanted to find him, to demand answers. But all I had was an empty house and a daughter who didn't understand. I still don't know why he left. Was it Claire? Was it us? The ER report said the sedative in my system was mild, likely slipped into my drink. Did James know? Did he let it happen? The questions haunt me, heavier than the sting of antiseptic, sharper than finding his note. All that's left are fragments, a laugh, a glance, a life unraveled, and the unbearable truth that I may never know.